few days ago, a source from Ukraine revealed that there were dozens of North Koreans behind the Russian defense lines. These groups are reportedly providing support for the launch systems of the KN-23 missile. The KN-23 is a short-range ballistic missile that was first tested in 2019, often compared to the Iskander-M missile. When carrying a 500-kilogram warhead, it is believed to have a range of about 450 kilometers. Since then, North Korea's military aid to Russia has come to light. It is estimated that Pyongyang has supplied roughly half of the large-caliber ammunition used on the battlefield this year, with over 2 million rounds. Pyongyang also provided KN-23 missiles, which were used in several attacks across Ukraine last winter. After a pause of several months, these missiles were deployed again starting in July. As a result, the ammunition delivered by North Korea has played a crucial role in Russia's progress during this summer's war of attrition between Russia and Ukraine. On October 9th, the Ukrainian military reported that they destroyed North Korean ammunition in an attack on a warehouse in the Bryansk region, about 120 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Despite being of poor quality and unreliable, North Korean missiles and shells have been key to Russia's relentless artillery fire against Ukraine's well-trained and highly motivated forces. Meanwhile, there are foreign mercenaries fighting for Russia. If North Koreans are actively fighting on the ground, it would mark the first time a foreign government has sent troops to support Moscow's war effort. It's said that last year, Kim Jong-un traveled to Russia for a summit with Vladimir Putin, where they reached a secret weapons deal, strengthening their relationship. However, it's becoming increasingly clear that this agreement goes beyond just supplies. Reportedly, 1,940 North Korean soldiers are currently undergoing military training, appearing as observers on the front lines, learning to operate drones, and applying their skills on the battlefield, though they are not directly involved in combat. At the same time, Kim Jong-un has requested to expand North Korea's military presence in Russia to 10,000 troops and to allow his soldiers to participate in attacks on several fronts in the Kursk region of Russia and the Donetsk region of Ukraine. He sees this experience as extremely valuable, especially under harsh autumn and winter weather conditions. However, the Russian military believes that the burden of training North Korean comrades is only dragging down Russian soldiers on the battlefield. Nonetheless, Russia's top leadership has ordered the military not to leave the bodies of North Korean soldiers on the battlefield, nor allow them to surrender. This is to prevent Ukraine from obtaining hard evidence of North Korea's involvement in the war. Earlier reports suggested that a Buryat Special Forces battalion has been formed within the Russian military, made up of North Koreans, with an estimated force of up to 3,000 people. This battalion might be involved in missions near Kursk. Since Buryats also have East Asian features, Russia is attempting to hide the presence of North Koreans by disguising them in this way. According to a source from the Ukrainian parliament, 18 North Korean soldiers have already escaped from positions near the border between Russia's Bryansk and Kursk regions, just 7 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. It's believed that these North Koreans realized that Chechen units were stationed behind them to enforce the human wave attacks, and any disobedience or retreat would result in immediate execution. Now, Russian forces are searching for them and trying to conceal this incident from higher command. So, why is Kim Jong-un sending North Korean troops to Russia? First of all, for North Korea, joining the war in Ukraine gives them an opportunity to test their weapons and learn how to use different types of arms. This provides their forces with real combat experience and diversified skills for wartime training. This could even be one of the driving factors behind sending North Korean soldiers. Secondly, in return, Kim Jong-un hopes that Putin will transfer missile and nuclear weapons technology to North Korea. He also expects Russia to assist with North Korea's spy satellite program, which has suffered embarrassing failures over the past 2 years. Additionally, there's the hope that Russia will provide food and energy aid to North Korea, which has been hit hard by floods. From Putin's perspective, he is in desperate need of manpower due to the heavy casualties sustained by the Russian military. According to the Ukrainian General Staff's estimates, the Russian military is losing over 1,000 soldiers each day. If this trend continues, Russian military losses could exceed 750,000 by the end of the year. Next year, Russia is likely to face a severe shortage of troops. Already, Russia is experiencing a significant labor shortage, with businesses and factories struggling to find workers. leading to wage increases and even creating the false appearance of an overheated economy. According to Meduza News, the Russian military is increasingly relying on older recruits, but frontline soldiers say that old men aren't fit for war. Since the beginning of the year, the number of Russian contract soldiers over 45 years old on the front lines has been rising steadily, according to both government and military sources. Open-source data on Russian casualties also supports this trend. Frontline soldiers are saying this is a serious issue because older recruits lack the endurance and physical strength required for combat. Now, Russian soldiers in the war zone have two main complaints: ammunition shortages and an increasing number of old men, referring to contract soldiers over the age of 50. One soldier stationed in Ukraine's Kharkiv region wrote that 50% of the soldiers here are old men, and they are being slaughtered. A soldier fighting on the Donetsk front expressed similar concerns, saying, "Since the summer, our regiment has lost about half of our people, either killed or wounded. They keep sending us reinforcements, but half of the arrivals are over 50, some even older. Some of them can't even make it to their positions." A soldier from the Luhansk area sent a video showing an elderly soldier struggling to walk down the road. While filming, the soldier commented, "This is one of the old guys going to the battlefield. What is our command thinking? This is who they're recruiting. People are joining out of foolishness, but the recruitment offices need to do their job." When asked about his age, the older soldier replied, 62 years old. An airborne officer fighting near Kherson described the situation with new contract soldiers as very serious. He said, "Around 40% of them are over 50 years old, and 3/4 of the new recruits are elderly." According to the soldiers, older troops simply can't keep up. They struggle to dig trenches while carrying heavy backpacks. One soldier wrote, "They're all sick, their legs hurt, their heads hurt, and they move slowly." A source from the Moscow mayor's office, citing recruitment data, noted that the number of elderly volunteers has been increasing since August, with some even over 60 years old. He mentioned that at the beginning of the year, the average age of new recruits was already 40, but now it's approaching 50. Another senior official from the mayor's office confirmed that in recent months, around half of all new recruits in Moscow are over 45 years old. By British Army recruit training standards, soldiers are expected to carry a 40-kilogram load and run 4 kilometers in 50 minutes, followed by running 2 kilometers in 15 minutes while carrying 25 kilograms. From a physical perspective, older soldiers do fall behind younger ones. For younger recruits, picking up a mortar and running a few meters is much easier. This is crucial in war, as everything is heavy: body armor, helmets, weapons, ammunition, and you need to be able to run with all of it. It's precisely due to this shortage of Russian troops that Kim Jong-un's North Korean soldiers have been accepted by Russia. In fact, rogue states like North Korea have a long history of sending their soldiers to participate in conflicts abroad. Dr. Samuel Ramani, a research fellow at the Royal United Services Institute and a tutor in politics and international relations at Oxford, listed several examples on his social media channel of North Korea's involvement in various wars over the past decades. For instance, during the Vietnam War in the 1960s, North Korea sent a squadron of fighter jets to support its communist ally, North Vietnam. This squadron served in Vietnam from 1966 to 1968, with 200 pilots involved. During the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, Egypt's chief of staff, Saad al-Shazli, spent a week in Pyongyang, and shortly after, North Korean pilots appeared in Egypt's fighter jets. After Iranian President Akbar Rafsanjani's visit to North Korea in 1985, Iranian artillery units used North Korean surface-to-air systems, and Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps received unconventional warfare training. In the late 1980s, North Korea deployed troops in Mozambique's Third Front during the African Civil War. From 1983 to 1987, North Korea also supported Zimbabwe's Mugabe forces. Even during the era of UN sanctions, Mugabe maintained close relations with North Korea, and Zimbabwe remained one of North Korea's key partners in Africa. After the Cold War, North Korea's direct interventions decreased, but its training activities continued, including tunnel construction training for Hezbollah. In 2016, Russian media reported that 2 North Korean militia units were present in Syria, fighting for President Bashar al-Assad's regime. When the Russian-Ukraine war broke out in February 2022, North Korean troops reappeared on the front lines, testing weapon systems, among other activities. North Korea's increasingly close relationship with Russia naturally raises the question of the third corner of this triangle. What about North Korea's relationship with the Chinese Communist Party? The world has long viewed the CCP and North Korea as long-term allies, both covertly supporting Russia. However, recent signs suggest an unusual split between Beijing and Pyongyang. According to a report by the Korea Jongun Daily, Kim Jong-un has labeled the CCP as a sworn enemy, which is why he did not send a delegation to China's celebration on the 97th anniversary of its military. In July of this year, Kim Jong-un even instructed North Korean diplomats in China to not pay attention to China's preferences. The Korean Jongun Daily suggests that this might be a form of protest from North Korea against the CCP. Recently, China has tightened controls on smuggling activities involving North Korea, and even confiscated special supplies used by Kim Jong-un, and refused to return them. In the past, Kim Jong-un has also referred to the CCP as a sworn enemy. Han Ki-bom, a guest research fellow at the Asan Institute for Policy Studies and a former first and third deputy director of South Korea's National Intelligence Service, stated in a report published in March that Kim Jong-un once said in early 2015, "The US and Japan are enemies of 100 years, but China is an enemy of 5,000 years." He also instructed that North Korea can survive without China, so even for minor issues, we should never make concessions. Han explained that this sentiment arose because, in July 2014, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited South Korea before visiting North Korea, which Kim Jong-un saw as a betrayal. If the relationship between China and North Korea is indeed fracturing and continues to deteriorate, this could be great news for Putin. Putin thrives on playing countries against each other while maintaining good relations with all sides, allowing him to manipulate them more easily. Thus, the so-called axis of evil might just be a loose collection of opportunists.